Hey guys, Chris here with Work to Game, and I'm here to talk about playing Final Fantasy XIV on a Mac. I know many of you are PC users. I'm looking at you, Brian. And I have also played the game on PlayStation. PlayStation 3 was slow, PS4 much better. But I'm here to talk about Mac. Now when you first install, it can be a little bit of a pain because you install it from their main website, but the very first time it boots up, after all this mess and all the waiting, it pops up a little box that says, hey, why don't you go to this other link and install this other copy, because the one we gave you, total junk. Now you can ignore this URL and it'll run. I think it felt like it was a little bit slower, but that error will pop up every time. I did ignore it for a while, which was only a little bit frustrating because I was already trying to get on and catch people in a dungeon run. But once I followed the link, I had to do it twice on my old Mac, once on my new one. Everything has run great. Now I'll admit that my load times are a little slower for me than almost everybody in the group I play with, but I haven't lowered my graphics settings at all, so I'm not entirely ready to blame that on OS X. The game is stunning. Brian came over the other night and just happened to want to hop on and check something out on Black Mage, and he was blown away by how beautiful it looks. Now my Mac does have the retina display that's kind of 4K-ish for you non-Mac users, and it's incredible. I would love to have a dual monitor setup. I currently don't even have the desk space for it, so bigger problems there. But I can already swipe left and right to different desktops to get to Discord and or Mumble, a browser, anything else you'd want to get to. Kind of makes me want to go get a second monitor set up right now. I haven't had any issue with things like support. It's supported through multiple versions of OS X. And I have not had a single issue with running my game that is unique to Mac. Anytime the game hasn't booted, it's been an across-the-board problem with servers or something like that. Everything has been just wonderful. Now, I will admit I'm a little biased because first and foremost, I'm a Mac user. Second of all, I'm actually somebody who prefers keyboard on an MMO. Don't tell Brian, I like his controller guides fine, but I really just prefer a keyboard. If I had to choose between Mac and PS4 today, and I only got to play on one, which would be a bit of a bummer, I would take Mac. Don't get me wrong, nothing beats being lazy with a controller and sitting on the couch, getting down on some crafting, some gathering, maybe even exploring the new maps. The Aquapolis is super awesome. I always feel like I'm saying Acropolis, but like the Mewage. However, there is no beating an MMO on the computer. It gives you the ability to type. That's things like searching the auction house, talking in raid, talking in party, writing and adjusting macros, or even just the ability to play with that kind of one hand on WASD while the other hand gets a drink or anything like that. Much harder to do with a controller. Now, as a disclaimer, I am not a top level player. I'm not running anything on Savage. I'm not really in raid content heavily right now. So I don't know which of the three platforms is most optimal for highest DPS. So I would just play the one that is your preference. Now, if you use a magic mouse, you can absolutely swipe left, swipe right with the two fingers and jump desktop to desktop seamlessly. Watch your corners, keep an eye on that, and if your phone rings and you have that set up on iCloud, it will go ahead and ring through. I, on my desk, have both a gaming mouse and a magic mouse. I prefer the gaming mouse for dungeon raids, but I can literally swap back and forth as they're both hooked into the computer at the same time. Now, I don't have the craziest of machines, and I don't have any trouble running it. Sometimes I leave Minecraft up in the background. Sometimes I have Adobe or something running. Maybe I'm in the middle of editing a video, and I hop over to play for a little while. I don't have any problems running it. It's never any slower or any faster based on what I'm running. I do use Screen Flick to capture my video that you're seeing here in this video. I used to use Cam Twist when I broadcast to Twitch. That's a free program. So anything you want to do on a Mac is not as restrictive as people make it sound. You can absolutely still play Final Fantasy, play other games like Blizzard games, capture your footage, anything you want to do. So if you prefer the Mac interface or you already own a Mac, it's a good way to go. So really what I'm saying is if you're on the fence and you lean towards keyboard and you have a Mac, go for it. If you are a Mac user already, I think you're super cool. By default, we should be friends. And for those of you that are really looking at performance, I have my Final Fantasy settings turned as high or higher than the default. I have my frame rates up at 60. I have reduced them some to try to lower load times. Hasn't made a huge difference. So my load times apparently are what they are. My problems at installation, I hope are something that they've fixed. I'm obviously not uninstalling and reinstalling this game to see if they've fixed them, so I hope you don't have the same experience I did. But just know that if you make that purchase and you're installing it and you're having any trouble, that once you get past that, it works fantastic. It's much prettier on a retina display than any computer I've seen on my friends that play on PC. And like I said, I've jumped version to version over multiple levels of OS X by now, haven't had any problems. Now, more important than any of this is if you're thinking about playing Final Fantasy, just play on whatever makes you most comfortable. If you already have it on one platform, maybe you have a PC and a Mac, or a PlayStation and a Mac, and you want to jump cross-platform so that you can play on the couch when you have the chance, but if somebody else is watching the TV, you can hop over to your computer, or whatever, go for it. I love having my Mac. I wish you didn't have to keep buying multiple versions, but thankfully things like that have gone on sale, so if you've ever watched, like Amazon just had the expansion for $9.99 or something, totally reasonable. Your subscription carries over. But cross-platform is another conversation. So obviously at the end of this, Mac is my favorite. But let me know what you prefer and why. Please let me know in the comments below. And as always, like this video if you'd like to see more like it. Subscribe if you haven't joined our fantastic community. And thanks for watching.